Hello everyone, I'm Alfian and today we are going to solve the LeetCode challenge, the challenge number 3 called the longest substring without repeating characters. And for this particular challenge, we are using TypeScript as the language. If you want to use something else other than TypeScript, then go ahead. And the challenge says, given a string S, find the length of the longest substring without duplicate characters. And the function itself, we have length of longest substring that takes one parameter called S in the form of a string, and the expected output is in the form of number or integer. And for this example number 1 right here, we have input as parameter of ABC, ABC and BB, and the output is 3. Why is it 3? It's because the answer is ABC, and the ABC is the one that has the longest substring with the length of 3. We have ABC right here, and we have another ABC right here. And for this example number 2, we have 5 occurrences of B, and the output is 1, and the answer is only B with the length of 1. It's because we should not have 2 B's or 3 B's or other than unique characters besides the B right here. And for this example number 3, we have input S of the P, W, W, K, E, W, and the output is still 3. Is because the answer is W, K, and E with the length of 3, because that the answer must be a substring instead of a subsequence. The difference between a substring and a subsequence is a substring is the one that in a sequence as a whole. Like for example, if I highlight P and W right here, they are the one that is unique. If I had to highlight this substring, then it is not considered the valid substring because we have 2 occurrences or non-unique W, and thus the answer should be P and W, and the subsequence is PW and K and E. I'm sorry, is subsequence. Subsequence is the one that only returning unique characters besides the substring. Like for example, the W in the middle is omitted other than the unique occurrences that of the P, W, K and E right here. So the subsequence is only counting the unique occurrences. If it's not unique, then it is omitted and continue with the subsequence, and that way we register the P, W, and the W right here is not being counted, and the K is counted because K is unique other than the P and W, and then the E right here is counted, and the last W is not counted. That is a subsequence, and we are working on a substring. A substring is the one that occurs as a whole in a substring, like they are placed on a neighboring and not placed far apart. That is this substring, and a subsequence is the one that is sparse or far apart between one and another, and it's not considered a substring. And the constraint we have 0, and the length of the string is at minimum is 0, and the longest length of the string parameter is 5 times 10 with the power of 4, and that is the maximum possible of the string parameter right here. And the S right here consists of English letter, digits or numbers from 0 to 9, and symbols and spaces. A symbol which is exclamation mark, parenthesis, or a colon, or etc. And also space is being counted. And we have in number 1 right here, generate all possible substrings and check for each substring if it is valid, and keep updating max length accordingly. So we got the first clue, which is the max length. Let's declare the variable called the let max length. Max length equals to 0, and the return, since it's expecting a number, then we can simply return our max length as our return statement. And if you notice that we are declaring using the max length using the let variable right here, because max length will be changed along the way as we iterate our string parameter right here. So to solve this, I have one idea of using determining the substring. Let's go to the Excalibur drawing. Let's draw a square right here to highlight the substring that we want to highlight right here. So we have A right here, and the next one, which is B, is unique since A and B is a different character. And the next one, which is C right here, as we iterate the as string or the as parameter, C is also unique, is different from B and A. Then as we go to the next A right here from the iteration, then A is not being considered unique because we have two A's right here. So but before that, we need to register the max length using the max length assigning with the value of 3 based on the size of the highlighter right here. And for the next one, we have A right here, and the max length is not equals to 4 because A right here has duplicates from the first A right here. So that way we are eliminating the first one right here, and still the max length is equals to 3. And we move to the next iteration, which is B right here, and the B already registered on the first B right here from the highlighter. So from the first one, we need to sacrifice it, eliminate this, and move the highlighter to the next one. C, A, and B still counting max length of 3. And let's go to the next iteration, which is C right here. Since we already have C, then move this, and then max length is still counting as 3. And the next one, we are moving the iteration to the B right here. Since B already declared from the previous one, then of course we are moving the A right here, and B is still there. Max length is still 3 because it's from the previous iterations. Then B is still available, like we have two B's right here. Then we move the highlighter to the next one, and we have the max length still 3, and the current length is 2 right here. Variable length right here as we iterate the string parameter. And for the next one, we are moving this part. We have B right here, and so C is being dismissed from the highlighter, and B is also dismissed from the highlighter. Is because we still have the same B's or the same elements in a highlighter. So moving this highlighter to the next one, and that way we only have one length, and then we are returning the max length along the way as we iterate the string parameter right here. So for the next one, we can simply use the highlighter again, B, and since B is not there in the first place, then we can simply pass in the length as 1 and the max length also as 1. And for the next one, we have B right here. Since we have two B's in a same highlighter, then we shift the left side of the highlighter to the next one, eliminating the first occurrence of B. So we still have the length of 1 and the max length of 1. And then as we continue, which is the same thing, the same operation, we are moving like this, and finally like this. And we still returning max length of 1. What about the last one of the max length? We are iterating B. Of course, B is unique, so we are returning length as 1 and max length also as 1. And then for the next iteration, we have W right here. W is considered unique and it's different than the B. Then of course we are registering the length as 2 and the max length is 2. And for the next one, since we have W again, it is checking that we still have the two occurrences of the W right here. Then of course we are eliminating the P, and we have the length of 2, and checking again that we still have the same occurrences or two characters or more in the same highlighter. Since we still have the same condition, of the double W's. Then of course we are moving the left side of the highlighter to the right. Then of course we have length of 1, and so we are moving the highlighter to the K right here. And since W and K is unique, then of course we are registering the length again with 2, and the max length still remains at 2 is because 2 is still the same as 2. And then we iterate the next one, which is the E right here. Since E is unique, then of course we are assigning the length of 3, accept this, and the max length equals to 3 after the comparison. Since we are using the TypeScript, then of course we can use the method called the Math.max to compare between the length with the max length, with the max length right here. Let me move the Math.max method, and that way we got the W, K, and E as our substring. And for the next one, we are moving the iteration to the W right here, the last W, since the last W still as the same from the previous W from the highlighter right here. Of course, we are eliminating the first occurrence of the W inside the highlighter, and of course we got the K, E, and W, and the length is 3, and the max length still remains at 3. That is the iteration will stop, and that is the wrap up of counting the substring. So what is the difference between the substring and the subsequence? Let's say we have the substring like this with only the first occurrences highlighted with the red color. That is the substring. Let me rename this and change the size, and it is counted as substring with the red color mark. And of course we are using the difference between substring and the subsequence. The subsequence is PW right here, and the next one takes only the unique characters regardless of if it's neighboring or not. That is the subsequence. This is up. Let me rename this subsequence. That is the subsequence, and the subsequence has two highlighter right here, two highlighters, and it is not near each other. If it's near each other or neighboring contents of the window, then we call this a substring. If it's far apart, even if it's unique characters or number or symbols, then it is called a subsequence. So that is the difference using the subsequence and the substring. So let's go back to our implementation, but before that, let me point something from the highlighter right here. How do we define the highlighter, and how do we move the highlighter as we iterate the string parameter? So it is fairly easy. Just declare a left pointer and the right pointer using the left pointer right here, and for the next one is the right pointer. So as we move the highlighter right here, then of course we are counting the right plus 1, and since it's still unique, then we move again, and of course we are moving the right pointer as 1, and then we are moving the highlighter right here. Of course we are still incrementing the right with 1, and of course the left, since we have two A's right here, of course we are eliminating the first A by shifting to the next one, shifting the left pointer using the plus 1. Mind you that the left pointer, we are using the index based on the length of the string parameter, and then as we iterate again, we are counting right plus 1. And to check if the highlighter contains 2 or more occurrence of the same characters, then of course we are eliminating the first occurrence or the left index by 1, and also moving the left pointer by 1, incrementing it by 1. And we are moving again with the C right here and adding the right pointer by 1. Since C is unique, should be unique, then of course we are eliminating the first C right here, then checking again if ABC is they are all unique. Since it is, then of course we are moving the left right here and stays there, and then moving again with the B right here, the right +1, and then the window of the left pointer will be moved by 1, and checking again, it's still not unique because we still have 2 B's right here. Then of course we are moving the left pointer again by 1, and the fulfill and the requirement is already fulfilled. Then of course we are moving to the next one, adding the right by 1, incrementing it by 1, and then since B, we have 2 B's right here, of course we are moving the left pointer by 1, and still the same, we still have 2 occurrences of B. Then of course we are moving the B, adding the left by 1 again, and all of the iteration will stop once the right pointer hits the last element of the string parameter. So let's go back to our code. Since we already declared the maximum length, then of course we are going to iterate using the for loop. Or since we are using TypeScript, we can declare let I or the let right as the right pointer as 0, as long as right pointer is not hitting the maximum length of the string that takes the string parameter with the length property. Then we are incrementing the right ++, and inside this for loop, inside this we can add the if check if the current string of the current characters of the string is the same as the one from previous one. So before we declare this if else, we need to make sure if we are iterating the correct for loop using the console.log. The s of the right are here, we are not using the I, and we are using the right as the to determine the index of the current as parameter right here. So let's run the code to see what it is about. And we are iterating ABC, ABC, and B, B. And the expected output is of course 3. So since it's already correct, then let's eliminate the console.log, and we can use something to store the current elements of the highlighter or the window right here. We are using this dynamic size of the sliding window approach. Then we are declaring only the unique characters or numbers or symbol by using the set character set. We are declaring the set using the new constructor of the set. If you look over the documentation, we have the constructor of set, declaring the constructor of the set that contains the values of from the array right here. We are storing all of the unique values of the 1 to 5, and check if it has 1, 5, and 6 is equals to false. We can check if using the console.log, check if set is storing. Make sure if that's storing only the unique elements, and declare the set right here and run with the object set. How about we are declaring the set for each element? Then we are using the console.log element. Let's run. Let's eliminate this part for now. What about we are storing 3, 2, and 3 again? Let's run. We are only storing 1 element of each of the unique elements right here. If we are assigning 2, then of course the last of the 2 right here is being eliminated because set is only storing unique characters or unique elements inside that. So let's go back to our implementation. We can add a while loop. While loop check if the char set using the if I remember correctly, is using the has method right here. Check if it has the elements or not. If it's true, then the while loop continues to eliminate the previous occurrence of the same characters. If it is false, if the has is returning false, then we are moving the iteration by 1 and storing only the unique characters. Since 1 is available or it's there inside the set variable, then of course it's returning true, and the 6 is returning false because 6 is not being registered yet. So what about if we add 6 into the new set constructor right here? Then of course it's returning true. Let's go back to our implementation. Check if the char set has the current iteration of the string parameter using the right to point out. You might be asking, why am I using the while loop instead of the if else? Since if you remember correctly, if you still remember about using the while loop, let's go back to our escalator drawing. Let's go back to the one that is placed let me check. Oh, on this part of the iteration right here, we have right pointer of the 3 from the last elements of the string parameter, and the left pointer which is placed on the 0, 1, 2 and 3 with the index of the 3. Left pointer is pointing to the index of the 3, and the right pointer is pointing to the last 3 elements of the string parameter. Then as we move to the next iteration, it is checking if the current iteration of the b right here has the previous occurrence of the b. Since it is, which is placed right here of the b, then of course we are still moving the right pointer to the next one because of the iteration. Then we are eliminating the a. Since it's not a substring, then of course we are eliminating it, and of course we are moving the left pointer by 1 and checking using the while loop again if b is still has the same occurrence or the same or has another b, 2 or more b's in the same window right here. Since it is, then of course we are eliminating again, moving the left pointer to the next one, and that is why we are using while loop other than just the if else check. So let's go back to our implementation. Let's eliminate the previous one, or the left pointer. Let's declare the left pointer, let left equals to 0. Of course we are moving the left by 1, the left plus plus. But before we are moving the left plus plus, don't forget to remove this. So let's go back to the escalator drawing. From the start of the iteration, we are registering b as the unique value of the set. Then we are storing the value of b using the char set dot. Let me check for the method. The method is add. The add method of set instances insert a new element with a specified value into this set. If there isn't an element with the same value already in this set, we are adding 42, and we are adding another 42. Of course we are only registering the first 42 because set only stores unique elements or unique values. Then from the set iteration, we are only showing 42 and 13. What about if we change this 42 of the duplicate numbers with the 43? And of course the for loop is counting 3 occurrences or 3 elements using the add method. Don't forget to use the add method. We are adding the current iteration of the elements to the set right here. But since the while loop checks first before storing the current iteration to the char set, then of course the while loop takes the precedence, and the char set add of the current iteration of the string will be placed after the while loop. Then before we removing the left plus plus or the moving the left pointer from this pointer right here, we need to eliminate. Let's say if we from the previous one we have b, c and b right here. Since b is currently not unique inside the window, then of course before we move the left by 1, of course we need the reference from the left pointer, and we take that reference from the left pointer to eliminate the previous b from the set variable. We are removing b from the set variable, and at the same time we are moving the left by 1, and of course we use the char set. To remove this one, we are using, let me use the documentation again. To remove, of course, we are using delete. The delete method of the instances, set instances, remove a specified value from this set if it is in the set, and delete any point with the x property above 10 integer. Since 20 is above 10, then of course we are removing 20 from the add method right here. So let's run this and let's check using the set. Before we remove this, we can use the set for each of the point, and using the console.log to iterate the points of what is inside the set right here. And we have two objects before that. After we delete using the delete method right here of the specified point of the x, then as we use the console.log again and removing this one, then the object will only have one. Let's adding this one, moving this to the top before the next console log, and let's run this, and that is the difference. And we are removing the object of the x with the x property of 20, and we are only storing the current object with the x property of 10. So that is using the delete method. Let's go back to our implementation using the char set, the delete method, and we are deleting the s with the left index. And we already took the reference and deleting the previous occurrence of the left pointer, and of course we are moving left pointer by 1. So let's, since don't forget the last one, since we need to count how many occurrences with the max length right here using the Math.max, comparing the current length with the max length, check which one is the maximum value. If the length is higher than max length, then of course the Math.max will return the length. On the other hand, if the max length is still takes the higher value than the length, then of course we are returning max length from the Math.max method right here. So let's go back to our implementation. We can check using the Math.max, using the current length of the set in the char set to get the current length. Of course we are not using the dot length since we are working with the data type of the char set. Of course we need something else to see. Okay, using the properties of size, let's run this. We have the size of 3, that is the same as using the length if we are counting how many elements inside the array or inside the string. Using the set, of course we are returning the size property behind that. So let's go back to our implementation using the char set.length, char set.size, char set.size, and for the second parameter, which is the current max length. So to register the Math.max, of course we are using the max length to mutate the max length value from the return statement of the Math.max method. So let's run this to see if it works. Accepted. Let's submit this, and we have 8 milliseconds of the runtime and the memory complexity of, yeah, it is so that's about it. I hope you understand my explanation. If you still understand, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you have better solutions about this challenge, tell us what you think in the comment section. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.